It's November 23rd, 1982. You are what stands between a tyrannical country and terrorism. Papers, Please takes place in East Grestin, Arstotzka. And after their recent victory in a 6-year-long war, Arstotzka reclaimed their land from Kolechia and reopened the East Grestin border checkpoint. And you just won the lottery. Well, the October Labour Lottery, which still means money. You just have to work for it. Your family also has a home now, a Class 8 apartment. It's the worst one, but it's home. You will work as the new inspection officer, and it's up to you to decide if people's documents are good enough for them to enter the country. Scan for discrepancies, interrogate suspicious individuals, and avoid citations, all for that mediocre paycheck at the end of the day. The underlying story of Papers, Please puts you almost as a spectator that sees snapshots into many different lives. You gain insight on human trafficking, murderers, and even strip clubs, all in your little booth as you try to scrape enough money for rent, food, and heating. As the player, to survive all the way to day 31, you have to adopt a sort of harsh and selfish attitude. People can be rude or desperate when they want to enter the country, and you have to be the one to say no. Too many citations and you will be arrested, but even if you abide by the rules, you don't feel like the good guy. This is the morality of Papers, Please. Day 1 is as normal and as easy as it gets. You can only allow Arstotzkans to enter the country. Everybody else is denied. It's an easy way to earn as much money as possible, as all you're really checking for is the country their passport says. There's not much to say in hard choices. Sure, people have been waiting in this queue for hours, but you're just doing your job. Day 2 is a little more extreme. A terrorist attack. A man jumped the border's fence and threw a grenade across the checkpoint. A guard guns him down, only to be killed by the explosion. The public run, screaming for their lives, and your shift is cut short, with probably only half the money you could have made. There's no extra money for surviving a terrorist attack. You made what you made that day, and they will see you at work tomorrow. The newspaper, The Truth of Arstotzka, suspects that the criminal is from Kolechia and believes some Kolechians are still at conflict with Arstotzka after the war. We don't learn if our character was ever from the war, but it still isn't fair. We're caught in the crossfire and our finances have to suffer. Either way, you have bills to pay and a family to support. Welcome to reality. You need the money, but how will you get it? You've almost made it a whole week, but work has not calmed down. After another bombing in the same week, you have to search all Kolechians. It was clear from the most recent attack that they were the ones behind it. Now a Kolechian man named Shadi Safadi wishes to enter, but after a search we see something strapped to his hamstring. He claims it's medicine, but you can't be sure. You have the option to detain him, but if you let him continue talking, he offers you 10 credits if you let him enter. Now if you've been good enough at your job so far, even with a citation, you would only receive a warning. The downside is small, and the amount of credits you'd earn is twice as much as if you just detained him. But still, it goes against the rules of your job. Rules that are in place so that your country feels safe. And you know what could happen if you let a Kolechian in. Your shift could get cut short, and you'd make even less money. More people could die. Is that really worth 10 credits? You must decide quickly, or you'll get through even less people today. This is the first instance of bribery and can lead to a slippery slope with more money, but more problems. There's a few more bribes that take place, such as on day 16. A man gives you 10 credits, so you'll let him through, but even if you detain him, you keep the money. But the man I want to talk about, the real star of Papers, Please, is Georgy Kostova. Georgy Kostova, a smuggler who just can't seem to get his papers right. Despite how many times you've denied him, he still treats you with respect and even sympathizes with your hard job. After many failed attempts and one success, he returns to enter Arstotzka again, this time with contraband. You find it and he offers you 10 credits for his approval. Once again, it's more money, and by this point, rent's only getting higher. And you can trust Georgy, right? He may be a smuggler, but he's not a... you know. In a world where money must be scarce for most people, bribes happen much more frequently, and can be the difference between surviving another day or not. However, what happens to these people after you let them in is unknown to you, and you could have enabled another attack within Arstotzka itself. It's up to you to decide if you're good enough at your job to keep yourself afloat, or if you need the extra help. This is where your morals get even more complicated. EZIC is a mysterious organization that gives you 5 tasks in order for them to complete their mission. They claim to be against Arstotzka's leaders, as they are greedy and corrupt, and they wish to free the country from its tyranny. They also say they aren't behind the Kalechian bombings. However, on day 31 we see that they're not too different in their methods. The first 3 tasks are very straightforward. Using the ciphers given by messengers, you are to decode names and make sure those specific people are allowed to enter Arstotzka. Every time you allow them in, you will receive a citation, but it's up to you if you believe it's worth it. EZIC are against your leaders, but do you disagree with them? The leaders of your country are corrupt, barely paying you and giving you the lowest class apartment possible, despite all the hard work you do. So EZIC must be right in some aspect. Plus, these tasks aren't very difficult if you believe in the cause. Just a couple citations, and as long as you avoid the Arstotzkan law enforcement's questions, you'll be fine. Until you're not. Through a message sent by EZIC, you were informed of a man named Khalid Istam, an assassin from Antegria, and his target is an EZIC agent already in Arstotzka. You receive an envelope containing poison and are informed to slip it into his passport when you allow him entry. You've already gone so far for these people, but now they want you to kill? His papers are good, so there's no citation as a consequence. But are you really a murderer? You can choose to ignore EZIC's task, but do you really want to be against the terrorists that know where you work? If you poison his passport, there's no going back. You accept him into Arstotzka, and soon after crossing the border, Istam collapses, vomiting blood. A guard comes to check on him, but the poison is so strong that he begins to vomit blood too. An article in the newspaper cites a mysterious poison smuggled across the border, stamped in red with the EZIC sign, all because of you. The final task is nowhere near as brutal. You must simply confiscate a diplomat's passport and give it to an EZIC agent that asks for it later. But you're a murderer now, so this should be easy. The life of crime is now so simple for you. You've really come a long way in less than a month. And now it's day 31, the reckoning day. If you have succumbed to the life of a spy and completed 4 of the 5 tasks given by EZIC, a messenger gives you a note reading, "Grestin checkpoint is at an end. Today we will break the wall down. You will be safe. Hold your fire." You have received both a tranquilizer and a sniper rifle by this stage in the game, weapons used to help defend against the terrorists. Will you defend your country, or let EZIC through? But first, a quick break to talk about our favourite character, Georgi Kostova. He tells you that he has made a big score and waited all this time in line just to say thank you, and hands you 40 credits. Smugglers are rich, and now you are too. Well, not really rich. EZIC agents pull up in a van, kill the guard, and begin to approach the border wall. It's here, your guns become available. Shoot them all, and the day ends early. If you have completed any EZIC task, you will be discovered and put to death for treason to your country. However, if you remained loyal throughout the 31 days and completed no EZIC tasks, you pass the audit and a new agreement is reached with Kaletia, and you get to return to work just 1 week later. Good job. You stayed loyal and get to keep working. Just what you always wanted. Let them pass, and the border wall explodes, and a flood of people rush into Arstotzka. You did it. You liberated your country, bringing about the new Arstotzka. EZIC has taken power, and for your helpfulness and compliance, you and your family are moved to a better apartment, and you are officially an EZIC agent. Welcome to your real life of crime. Within the 20 endings of the game, endings 19 and 20 are the big climaxes to the overall story, with both endings displaying a good result for the inspector, but on two very polar opposite ends of morality. On one side, you help terrorists enter and attack your country, but your quality of life has drastically improved. On the other hand, you stayed loyal and morally just, despite your country's corruption and poor treatment towards you, managing to keep your job and provide for your family. In a world where you're given so many different paths to choose, the lines between what is right for you, or the law, or general moral principles, begin to intertwine with each other, as not all can exist at once. Throughout writing the script for this video and playing the game for myself, I found that a lot of my thought for justifying moral dilemmas was the money. Of course, living in a capitalist society and paying way too much for rent at university will influence that mindset, but it was interesting to think about how far I went in my own playthrough, with the end goal of money justifying the means. Papers, Please brings up deep discussions about what is right and wrong, and especially in the past few years, the rise of radical protests and the corrupt rich only adds to this discussion. I guess I can't really say which ending is best morally. Either you're a selfish freedom fighter that helps take down the corrupt, or you prevent terrorist attacks despite the country being undeserving. It really is a question that's intentionally difficult to answer, and while of course the gameplay for this indie game is phenomenal, the storytelling and world building really set it apart.